You to know they're gay, and today is the day that you're finding out because they're happy.
This one probably doesn't surprise anyone who's watched Adventure Time, but surprisingly, I wasn't actually sure about this entry on the list originally. Originally starting as a behind-the-scenes idea started by Marceline's voice actor Olivia Olson and some writers. Marceline the Vampire Queen and Princess Bubblegum's possible relationship status has been widely speculated for a while, and later episodes make it clear that they were at one point a couple, and there were hints as far back as Season 3 with episodes like What Was Missing. Marceline is my personal favourite character in the entire show, even more so than the Ice King, and the Stakes miniseries is my favourite part of the show. And while I originally didn't care too much for Princess Bubblegum, she did eventually win me over. They had been broken up for a lot of the series, and that still left them with conflicting feelings towards each other as they slowly mended their connection, and by the end of the series, they finally get back together, confirming everything fans and even the cast have been wanting for almost the series' entire run. So, why was I not really convinced to include them on the list originally? As much as I really like them, they do spend most of the series broken up, which, yes, is true to life, as often couples break up when they're younger and going through things and later get back together. I didn't think we'd seen enough of them outside of angry at each other or in that awkward "I have feelings for you but I'm not going to say anything to you" stage, and it's only the series finale we get to see them together. That was my reasoning. But I completely changed my mind after watching Distant Lands Obsidian. They get an hour-long episode, basically an entire movie, dedicated to them as a couple, unapologetically in love and adorable, and gay. We've seen their turmoils as they confront their fears and emotions about their relationship and their past issues with each other, and they work it out together so they can come to a better understanding of each other. And it was amazing. This episode is what tipped me over to including them on the list. It put their entire journey through the series up to this point into perspective, but everything about these two, whether from the original series or Distant Lands, is more than enough to put them on the list.
You to know they're gay, and today is the day that you're finding out because they're happy this way.
In the brutal world of BoJack Horseman, there are very few purely wholesome characters that always end up with a positive view and cheery disposition. Enter Todd, the incorruptibly good, lazy guy of Hollywood. He's not the brightest, and he has ideas that don't always work out, but he has a good heart, which is a rare trait in this show. That's not to say he can't have his moments of doubt and his own emotional troubles. He's not a pushover when things or people are unfair to him. He's the most likable character on the show by a long shot. Todd is also asexual, and finally an asexual character that's written realistically and acts like a real person and who isn't a robot or something. Todd discovers his asexuality around the time of Season 3, initially not understanding his feelings or identity, and even seeming worried when first presented with the idea. This is painfully relatable, and while I can only speak for myself, I imagine for other people on the asexual spectrum, this hits close to home. After he does start to use the label, he comes to accept himself and open up about it. And he finds other people just like him, and even though he's faced with the usual scorn and lack of understanding from other people, he sees support from others and learns that he doesn't have to be accepted by other people. He knows who he is and embraces it. Todd is a very likable character and some much needed A-spec representation.
They're gay, and today is the day that you're finding out because they're happy this way.
This entry is mostly for Luna, or it was originally, but Sam also definitely deserves a mention as her own character and not just as the partner. With that said, Luna is my favourite of the sisters, and if you've seen the show you could probably see why. She's an energetic rock music fan and always uncompromised in her enthusiasm and energetic, or loud, pun intended, personality. In the episode L is for Love, she's believed to have gotten a letter from Sam. Sam is another rock fan at her school who she has a crush on, revealing that she is indeed bisexual, and after getting over some initial fears of thinking she's out of Sam's league and being reassured by the rest of the Loud siblings, the two start dating. The relationship gets more development in later episodes, and Sam is shown to have quite a lot of personality herself. The two are shown to have different interests outside of their mutual love of music, but they still work well together despite their differences. I like that, it shows couples don't have to be completely identical. I also like how the other sisters act excited and happy for Luna. No one treats her as different or awkward, they're just happy for her and want to help her however they can. Both Luna and Sam are great characters and an even greater couple.
You to know they're gay, and today is the day that you're finding out because they're happy this way.
Young Justice is probably my favourite superhero cartoon of all time, right next to Earth's Mightiest Heroes. After the show's first cancellation because of lack of toy sales, forgot it was the Toy Network, I had the idea it was for cartoons. Where did I get that idea? Anyway, fans, including myself, were disappointed that the show ended after only 2 seasons, until a revival got announced in 2016. Enter Young Justice Outsiders, the 3rd season airing in 2019, which changed some stuff around. For starters, it did what Season 2 did, by making the show more adult with more violence and adult themes and such, and it also included more representation with quite a few queer characters. I also considered Halo for this list, but I had to give it to Calderon, aka Aqualad. Calder is the rational, honor-bound, and kind-hearted leader of the team. He's the most level-headed and extremely calm character, able to keep his cool even in chaotic situations, helping him think through things to construct the best plan before taking action. He often serves as the voice of reason and the voice of morality for the team, but he's also a badass fighter to boot. Outsiders showed him returning to Atlantis, taking up the mantle of Aquaman. While there, we also see he gets together with the character Wind, and we see them as a couple. It's awesome, and while it's not the only example of queer characters in Outsiders, this one feels the most impactful to me because it's Calder, the leader of the team and arguably the main character. Not a side character or a new character, but the lead and main guy. This is amazing, and I look forward to seeing them together in Phantoms. Before I go on, I feel I should talk about some honourable mentions quickly, and there are quite a few this time around. South Park has had its ups and downs with LGBTQ plus representation, but these two are arguably the best in the series, the unlikely couple of the insanely paranoid and neurotic Tweak, and one of the few sane people in the show, Craig. They're initially brought together because of yaoi art of them in a relationship, but later they realise they actually do like each other, and we see them as a pretty functional and adorable couple, well, as functional as South Park gets. It was a tie between these two and Luna and Sam for this list for me, and although I went with Luna and Sam in the end, the McBrides definitely deserve to be brought up as Nickelodeon's first gay parent characters, and they're really good as both loving parents and characters in their own right. Although not outright stated on screen, these two are heavily implied in the show to be a couple, and it was confirmed by the creator. I do love their dynamic. They did the whole rivals turn love interest thing way before either of these, but they don't make the list because 1, it's never technically confirmed, just really heavily implied, and 2, they killed her off. But Hot Dog Water sacrificing herself is all the admission of love that I need. A gay wedding in a show that's aimed at a younger audience happens to one of the characters who we've gotten to know across the course of the series, and is in an educational show about the world. Overall, a very cool way to normalise LGBTQ couples in a very casual, fitting way. I recently binged The Owl House, and I gotta say, I love it. I might make a video on it one day soon. One thing fans, including me, have greatly enjoyed seeing is the relationship between Amity and Luce grow from rivals to friends to possibly something else. And it's basically confirmed they're not beating around the bush, that the characters have feelings for each other. But they aren't on the list because they haven't technically gotten together, although I think that's likely to happen very soon in the series. This is a complicated one. Ray is confirmed gay in the live-action Arrowverse series, as he's married to Leo Snart, but Leo doesn't appear in the miniseries, so it doesn't technically count. Best couple. I just find these two so charming, and their relationship and how much they care about each other is very cute. I'm looking forward to seeing more of them as the series continues. Quite a few of the Hell of a Boss characters are queer, just like in a Has-Been Hotel, and we have seen more of them than Has-Been Hotel characters, but I couldn't pick just one character or couple, so they all get this honourable mention. Not technically confirmed to be a full-on couple, but it's been brought up in-universe, and it's likely building up to them becoming official in Volume 9, which I can't wait for. If that happens, I'll just put them on the anime list. Who's gonna stop me?
is love.
I had a lot of candidates to choose from for this list, and the other spots shifted around quite a bit, but as soon as I had the idea to do this list, I had the number one already picked out. We're all familiar with the show Steven Universe. It was a game changer, especially with its representation, with a shit ton of amazing queer characters depicted in the show, and the number of LGBTQ+ characters increasing massively after the show aired. But the one standout example everyone points to, and I had to go with, it's obviously Garnet. Garnet is the badass, resilient force of pure awesomeness who leads the Crystal Gems. She's a fusion of two other gems, Ruby and Sapphire, both very different but drawn to each other. They end up falling in love despite persecution from the gems around them, and form the ultimate bond as a permafusion, forming a new being, Garnet, out of their love for each other, and of course she joins the Crystal Gems. Only splitting apart in times of intense stress or when it's absolutely necessary, when we do get to see them separate, they still work amazingly together, as contrasted personalities that still care about each other and living their truth. Ruby and Sapphire actually get married. They have a full-on gay wedding and it's glorious. Even better is that they have the stereotypically masculine Ruby wear the dress and the stereotypically feminine Sapphire wear the suit, as one giant middle finger to the homophobic censors of certain countries. Garnet combines the best traits of both Ruby and Sapphire, and as the literal embodiment of a gay relationship and love of these two, Garnet is the obvious number one choice for the list. While I like to stress that it's not perfect and that there's still a long way to go for media, I'm glad to see so much diversity of LGBTQ+ characters in the medium of animation, helping to normalize queer people rather than excluding, and giving LGBTQ characters that can help people feel seen and represented, to help influence people to be more open-minded and have a better understanding of people seen as different. And on top of that, they're just all-around really good characters in general who are a ton of fun to watch and talk about. And that was my list. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have your own personal favourite characters belonging to the LGBTQ+ community, or you felt differently about the placement on the list, feel free to let me know in the comments. We're definitely making progress with representation and understanding if these were anything to go by, so I'd love to hear more of your examples. With that said, hope you can be proud in yourself and the community, whoever you are, and whatever your sexuality or identity may be. Even if you don't even know, that's cool too. See you all in my next video, and once again, happy Pride Month.
Just after the storm breaks with the perfect amount of light, you can catch a glimpse of magic if the timing is right. Rainbows are improbable, beautiful and rare, but so are you, and so is this, the love that we share. Too vast to hold and too small to name, it's no wonder why you have to stand between the rain and the sun to see a rainbow in the sky. All the things that had to go right, all the things that had to go wrong, that led us to the place where we were going all along. Right now they fall away, right now it's just us two. Right now we make a promise, if you do, then I do too.